Welcome to this week's episode of Trista's Plate Story Podcast. I'm Trista Polo from iWokeUpAwesome.com, and I am your host. Each week we learn the story behind that vanity plate. You know, the one you saw driving down the road? What did it say? What did it mean? Why did they choose it? This week we meet Sarahbeth Yamiolkowski and learn the story behind her license plate, BOOF. Sarahbeth is currently a specialist in digital licensing operations for BMI in Nashville, Tennessee. She and her identical twin come to Nashville by way of Virginia Beach, Virginia, where most of their family still lives. We talk about lots of stuff, including music licensing for podcasters and vloggers, Toastmasters, dogs, family, and more. I know you'll love getting to know Sarahbeth. So let's go chat with her and hear her plate story. Welcome to this week's episode. We are here with Sarahbeth Yamiolkowski from Nashville, Tennessee. Her license plate is BOOF. So let's jump into that story. Welcome, Sarahbeth.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. So that's quite a unique license plate, BOOF, B-O-O-F. I just love the sound of it, BOOF. I mean, I just want to say it over and over, but I will refrain myself. Why don't you tell us the story behind it?
So when I was 3 years old, my little brother was born. And due to my name being Sarahbeth, that's quite long. So my mom and dad would shorten it to call me Beth or Bethy, or the ever dreaded Sarah, which I have a cousin who's 6 months younger than me, and her name is Sarah. So people do shorten it to Sarah, but it is definitely not Sarah. It's Sarahbeth. And as my brother started talking and he heard my parents saying Beth or Bethy, he pronounced it Boof or Boofy. So it just kind of stuck. I was always just Boof growing up, or Boofy.
Yeah.
And I hated it at first because I couldn't figure out why he couldn't figure out how to say my name. It's not that hard. And he used to tease me all the time when he started to be able to talk better. And he'd just be like, Sarah Boof. And eventually it just stuck to everybody calling me Boof.
So is that what people call you now that know you real well?
Yes. So if you're in my inner circle or my family, I'm Boof or Boofy.
I love it.
My name rarely gets used in the house. Anytime my brother had a girlfriend, I was always introduced as his sister Boof. And people would stare at him and like, okay. Or I had a roommate in college who introduced me to his grandma as Boofy. And his grandmother goes, well, what's the name her parents gave her? And he honestly forgot what my real name was. So he just looked over kind of and goes, Boofy. And I was like, well, that is true. That's what my parents call me. However, and then I introduced my real name.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
My sister has 2 kids and they're really close in age. So when her daughter, who's just turned 3, was born, her son, who's 4.5 or so, he had a lot of trouble with her name. Her name is Annabelle. So Annabelle, like Sarahbeth, is a mouthful.
Right.
And he started calling her Abba.
Aww.
Which I think is just so adorable.
That is adorable.
I know, but he's getting better at it and he's correcting it. That's the thing about these adorable things kids come up with because they can't quite do the language, is they tend to grow out of it. So I do love that you got to keep yours.
Not my brother. And my sister, I have a twin, and her name is Jessie. And just for the hell of it, her middle name is Ann. So when he wants to annoy her, he just calls her Ann.
Oh,
she hates it. She doesn't get a cool nickname like me.
That's too bad. You got lucky in that department. So she's a twin. Are you guys identical?
We are indeed identical.
And did you do anything to mess with people growing up, or could they kind of tell the difference?
We tried. There's a few times in school where we switched. Usually one of us would end up blowing it by looking up when they called name or something. It was, yeah. And now she has shorter hair than I do, so it's kind of easier to tell us apart. But we're still roommates. She brought me out to Nashville. So
that's awesome. So you guys stayed very close your whole lives, as twins tend to do.
Right.
That's awesome. And it sounds like you're pretty close to your family.
I am.
Yeah.
It's nice. Unfortunately, we don't live. They're back home in Virginia Beach, Virginia. All of them, my mom, dad, little brother, his wife, and then their 2 daughters.
Wow.
So I don't get to see them as much. But like I said, my sister followed me out here about a year after I moved out. So
awesome. So you at least have her with you.
I do, which is nice.
Yeah. So what brought you to Nashville?
I got a job in the music industry with a performing rights organization called BMI.
Mm-hmm.
My degree is actually in music business. I came out to Tennessee the first time for college. I went to local school here, Middle Tennessee State University, got my degree in music business. Couldn't get a job right away in the industry. It's really tough, but a job opened up a few years ago, and I jumped on that opportunity and moved back out to Tennessee.
That's awesome. So you do licensing.
I do.
I think unless you're in the licensing business or you've gotten licensed music, it's very mysterious. So can you explain a little bit?
It is. And even when you're in the industry and using licensed music, sometimes you don't always understand licensing, especially because I work in digital licensing, which is a whole nother level of complication than licensing for in-person events. So we're performance licensing. So that's when a business is using music in a public setting, they are required to get a license to do so. So that's your bars, your hotels, your concert halls, pretty much anywhere you go where music is being used. Even your local governments have a license to use music in like city parks. A lot of people don't know about. Everybody has a music license. Well, moving into the digital realm now, there's the performance licenses needed when you use a song on the internet, but there's also other licenses involved like sync licensing, which is anytime you put music to video. And then there's the mechanical licensing, which comes from that actual sound recording, which those rights are held by the record labels or sometimes the artists themselves. Whereas public performance licensing, we represent the underlying composition, which is the songwriters, composers, and publishers.
Wow, that is complicated.
It is. It is.
Now, are you also a musician as well? Or did you always do the administrative side?
So I started as a musician and a singer at age 7 in church choir, and I developed my love of music then and just knew that I never wanted to do anything else but play music. So I did marching band, drum corps, symphonic band, jazz band, any band in middle school, high school, throughout college, you name it, I joined it. And
That's awesome.
I just play for fun. I don't do any kind of bands.
So what do you play?
I play 7 different instruments.
Okay.
I play tenor sax, bass clarinet, mallet percussion, drums, trumpet, well, more mellophone, which is the marching French horn, and then a little bit of fiddle and mandolin thrown in there.
That's awesome. Wow, you are quite the musician.
ADHD, couldn't choose which one to stick with, so I had to venture to every section.
That's great. I actually have very musical people in my family. In fact, my uncle was the band director for his high school, and my cousin's now the band director for his and also plays in symphonies, including he's a sub for Broadway.
Oh, wow.
His kids are both professional musicians. One's a flautist. The other one is a viola player. My other cousin was on Broadway. She's a singer. So lots of music in my family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite instrument that you play?
It'd probably be the tenor sax, or I do like getting up and playing the drums every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And I basically learned drums because my little brother is an amazing drummer. And I mean, like, the dude should be playing in bands, but he chose family life, which I don't blame him. He actually, when I moved out of my parents' house, turned my bedroom into a music studio, complete with foamed off walls and his drum set and all recording equipment.
Wow.
Yeah. So I basically just started to learn drums because I couldn't let him play something that I didn't and be good at it. So it's always fun to play a set. I don't get a chance too much because, the drums are back home in Virginia, my brother. But
well, Nashville's such a musical city. Do you ever get to perform? Do you ever go out to like open mics, or have you become part of any kind of band?
I haven't. I've been asked a few times to do some things. I just haven't done it yet. I'll probably, once, Corona ends and things open back up, it may be something that I pursue.
Yeah.
Haven't yet.
Absolutely. Well, it's available for sure where you are.
It definitely is. And I do like going out and seeing gigs and live music. I'm just not one to go up and play myself at the moment.
Yeah. A friend of mine has been in Nashville for years. He's a guitar player and musician. and he's in the circuit. And another friend just moved to Nashville. She's been a singer for years in New York City and just relocated.
Nice.
Makes me wonder if she did that because of COVID or some other reason.
Right. Or just Nashville's a lot nicer than New York. I did some internships up in New York City, and I lived in LA for a couple of years. And I have to tell you, Nashville is the place to be.
Wow.
If you really want to make it in the music industry and be around good people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that everybody in New York and LA are bad people, but
no, of course.
It's, you know, when we're on the phone with other industry people and they tell us, you know, oh, we just love dealing with the Nashville branch. Everybody in Nashville is it's just a different atmosphere. And I'm like, yep, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. And how about your sister that moved with you, your twin, Jessie?
Mm-hmm, Jessie. Yep.
So does she also have any musical inclinations like you and your brother?
She does. She was in band with me the whole time. She plays, she's the reason why I learned the brass instruments. So
okay.
she's a trumpet player, mellophone, baritone horn. And so just because she could play them, I needed to learn too. So
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
I have a very competitive side, and I can't let my siblings be better than I am at anything. So if they know it, I have to know it. But
that's great.
She does those instruments.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
She didn't learn everything like I did.
Mm-hmm. So where does your competitive side show up? Do you bring that to the office as well?
Oh, definitely. I'm also in a public speaking group called Toastmasters.
Oh, sure. Toastmasters.
I'm the president now of our Toastmasters branch with BMI. We actually have our own corporate branch, which is
awesome.
Nice. So anytime I get a chance to get up and do table topics, I'm going to win.
That's great. I have to tell you, I've been a speaker my whole life. I always considered myself a very good speaker. And my mom had joined Toastmasters and she raved about it. I'm like, I don't need that. I already know how to speak. I don't have fear of speaking. I can talk very well on stage. I don't have filler words. You know, I don't need all that stuff.
Right.
But a friend that had been in a local chapter for years and just kept inviting me and kept inviting me and kept inviting me. And finally I said, okay, you're having an open house. You're speaking. I'll be there to support you. And they got to the table topics and I was terrified to speak on a topic that I didn't have any pre-planning knowledge or time to prep.
Right.
So we'll just like make sure people who don't have Toastmasters background. Right. So table topics is the off the cuff speech. They pick a topic. You don't know what it is in advance.
Right.
You speak for 1 to 2 minutes and it's volunteer. Anybody who wants to participate can go. And what I noticed was I was just like holding my hand down, like sitting on my hands. And I realized if I am going to call myself a proficient speaker, and this is something I'm unwilling to do, there's something I can get out of being in Toastmasters.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I heard about it. One of my bosses, actually the boss that hired me at BMI back when I was in the customer relations department, she was in Toastmasters. And I was just asking for better ways to, improve in the company because she was also my direct manager. So I had all my performance reviews with her. And she suggested, well, just come join Toastmasters or at least come to our open house. And I told my dad about it. He's like, oh my God, do it. He's like, that's going to be amazing on a resume.
Yeah.
It's great for your, personal development and professional development. He's like, and that's going to help you go far in life. I became a board member, Sergeant at Arms, and then VP of membership. And then this year I was just elected president of our chapter.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, the table topics made such a huge difference for me. It's why I joined Toastmasters, and then I got to learn how to do evaluations for people.
And the cool thing is, a lot of companies have corporate clubs, but there's also community clubs.
Right.
So if you just go to the Toastmasters International website, you can find a club in your area if you're interested in just, attending one.
Yes, that's what I did. Now, we were talking before about your family, and you had told me before when we spoke that they have license plates too. You're quite the vanity plate family.
We are the vanity plate family, and it's so funny because my dad was never really into them. Like when I grew up, my dad worked for the Navy, so we were in Connecticut. and we never had vanity plates, were never interested. And then when he retired and we all settled down in Virginia Beach, we all just kind of went license plate happy. So every single one of us has a vanity plate now.
That's awesome. So do you have any advice for people that are either podcasters, YouTubers, creating content when it comes to finding music? I'm on a bunch of different groups, and they're always asking, like, where do I find music? How do I license music? How do I find music that's not needing to be licensed? Being somebody inside the industry, what's your advice on that?
If you want to go the route of not having to pay for any licensing fees, you're going to want to use your YouTubes, your Spotify, your Apple Music, and just host your content there, as those platforms already have performance licensing with BMI and at least ASCAP. There are 2 other performing rights organizations in the United States. Those are GMR and CSAC. And I'm pretty sure they have similar deals. However, those are privately owned companies, so they can kind of do whatever they want. Whereas BMI and ASCAP, we are bound by a consent decree from the Department of Justice. So all of our rates are already set. We have to license all like businesses the same. So everything there is kind of, if ASCAP's doing it or if BMI is doing it, the other one's doing it as well. Another thing is there's these great things called production libraries. And what they do is they have deals with us on the back end, but they actually go out and license all the music themselves from the songwriters so that the user doesn't have to. You'll pay like a $5 fee for this one track, and it comes with all the licensing. So that's another way to go about doing it. There's also a company called Sound Exchange, which is if you're going to be using audio for like an online radio station, they get all the master rights clearances for you for those mechanical licenses. And there's also the Harry Fox Agency and their program Rumblefish, which does a lot of clearances as well, so that you as the individual user don't have to seek out those individual licenses. You can go to those services and they do a blanket license for you, which a blanket licensing is all encompassing everything in their catalog. And that's how BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, and GMR, we do blanket licenses. So you don't license an individual song from us. Your licensing fee covers everything in our catalog.
Oh, that's handy. Now, I also know you have a furry friend somewhere around, so we have to talk about that.
His name is Babu. He's a 3-year-old German Shepherd.
Nice.
He was a rescue, so he did not have the greatest start to life, but he's a great dog now, and we're working on a few of his little, he likes to mouth. He can get a little mouthy and gnaw on people, so that's something that we're working on.
Yeah.
Hasn't severely injured anybody, thank God, but it's not a good habit to have.
No.
So, but he's very loyal. He was wild. When I first got him, I mean, I was constantly scratched, chewed on, and I didn't think I was going to be able to keep him, but I just saw something in his eyes, and I was like, this dog deserves no one's going to be able to give him the love and a home that he deserves like I could.
Yeah. Thanks for taking a chance and being patient with him. What do you think made the difference that had him finally come around?
I think just showing him constant love and letting him know that I'm not going anywhere. You can chew on me all day, and bite and scratch, and I'm still going to give you kisses and hugs, and I still want you to come cuddle with me. Because when I first got him, he would not come near you.
Yeah. Do you know anything about his background?
I know a little bit. I know that he was bought, it was a divorced family, and the dad bought it for the kid who lived with the mom, and the mom, at first, when he's a cute puppy, he's a 80-something pound German Shepherd, and he's large even for a German Shepherd. He's a big boy. He was definitely not the runt of the litter.
Right.
And so it's a cute puppy at first, but once he starts getting nippy and bitey, and just German Shepherds are very high energy, especially when they're younger. And they would just, eventually lock him in a closet to keep him away. And it wasn't a good start for him. So like I said, when I first got him, he would not cuddle. He would not sit with you. You couldn't get him on the couch. You had to pick him up and try to hold him, and then he'd be all, wild. But eventually I just broke him down and just kept, like I said, showing him love. And now he's laying on the floor next to me. So now he sleeps with mommy every night and cuddles with me on the couch. And if mommy's not home, he does love auntie, but not like mommy.
It's not the same.
It's not the same, even though we are twins. He knows the difference.
He knows the difference. You cannot fool a dog.
No, he knows it. He knows the difference between mommy and auntie.
Yeah.
And he's very much a mommy's boy. And luckily I work from home right now because our office is closed. And so he's with me 24/7.
Yay. This has been so much fun.
It has.
Yeah, I really enjoy learning about your plate story and what you do for a living. And I think I failed the music licensing course, but I really tried really hard.
So many people do. I tried my way through copyright law for 2 semesters.
Oh my gosh.
It is.
Well, it's been super fun.
Easy.
Do you have a question you'd like to ask me before we wrap up?
I do. So I know that you are close with your family as well. So what is your favorite childhood memory with your sister?
So that's a trick answer because I was an only child until I was 13.
Oh,
and
that's
so
a change.
Yeah. So I don't have like super young childhood memories. Mm-hmm. But one thing I'll tell you is I have 2 sisters. They're both half sisters, and they're actually not related to each other.
Oh, that's even more. That makes it even more fun.
Right, exactly. But what I'm really proud of, and this is what I'll share, is that I'm really close to both of them, even though there's a huge age difference. So there's 13 years difference with my one sister and 19 and a half, 20 years difference with my other sister.
Wow.
And so I got to be the unconditional love, older, wiser sibling. Mm-hmm. Definitely didn't try to take over a parent role. Right. You know, I didn't try and fight my parents for authority in any way, but I kind of got to be the one they could come to talk about anything, mm-hmm. and have an unconditional, supportive BFF sister to talk to no mm-hmm. matter what. And they knew that they could tell me anything. And that's awesome. True for both of them. And so even though I didn't get to grow up with them, mm-hmm. I feel like I got to really positively impact both of their growing up, mm-hmm. because of my commitment to being part of their life, not just as a sister, but as a wise sister.
That's awesome.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get to be like the fun aunt, but you're also the sister.
Exactly.
So that's awesome.
It's a good combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I made sure they got, Easter baskets when I was in college and they were young. Mm-hmm. And I made sure that they got care packages when they were in college, just like fun things that you can do when there's a big age difference.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I
would not know what being an only child is like. No, I didn't even get my own egg. I split from the same egg. So I didn't even get that.
Who was born first? Who's older?
So technically she is. Okay. However, that's because that was a C-section and they pulled her out first.
Okay.
However, had it been natural, I was in line to be the firstborn.
Has she been cutting in front of you all your life?
No, you can definitely tell that I was meant to be the older sibling.
Really?
I went away to school the first year. She stayed home. She went to college, but it was a local school versus I moved out to Tennessee. And she followed me out the next year. So I'm kind of the leader of the family.
Okay.
And then my siblings kind of follow suit.
I love it.
I was naturally supposed to be born first, and you can tell. However, I do let her fight my battles for me. So if there's just an argument, I'm just more kind of laid back. And if there's something I need to be, have taken care of and I need kind of a stronger person, I'm just like, what would Jessie do? And I channel Jessie, or I just have her do it.
It must be wonderful to have somebody that you're so close with, like having a twin like that. My niece and nephew are going to be like that because they're so close in age. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I feel really happy for them. Like when my niece isn't around, my nephew who's older, mm-hmm. he's always wondering like, where is she? Why is she missing?
And that's going to be my nieces too, because they're less than 2 years apart.
Yeah. So. I guess my nephew was with my mother, his Nana recently, mm-hmm. and they were eating something that he thought was delicious. And he was like, I'm sorry, I'm sad that Annabelle can't have it too. Like, I wish she was here so she could enjoy it too. I'm like,
oh my God, that's so
for
sweet.
Something,
that's
amazing.
That's so sweet.
I definitely am envious of having a sibling growing up. I would have loved to not be an only child growing up, but now that I have 2 amazing sisters, totally made up for it.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Any last words before we wrap up?
Don't really have any. I just do want to give a shout out to my childhood idol growing up, which is how I got connected with you. Her name's Jessica. She was my choir director when I was 7, and she's the reason that I fell in love with music as much as I did.
Gosh, we have to talk about her. Okay, so you and I were connected by Jessica Dugas, who has the Breakthrough Show podcast and the Project Joy podcast. I was actually a guest on both, and that's how we met, was that I was a guest on her podcast, and I adore Jessica. She's amazing.
Oh my God. She was literally my idol. When I joined choir, I was 7, and she was about 16 or 17. And she was our director, and she played the piano for the choir. And she was my idol. I just loved spending time with her, hanging out with her.
What was it about her that you liked?
Just her person. She just has such a welcoming personality, and
she does.
Just pulled me right in. And I was really shy. You probably cannot tell this now, but when I was a little kid, I was super shy. And she just got my sister and I to open up, and I just loved everything about her. Wanted to be her. Want to be just like her. So she's the reason I learned to play the clarinet, because that's what she played. And just she was everything when I was 7.
That's
she was everything
awesome.
I wanted to be. So
I love that she had such a huge impact on your whole life.
My whole life. She literally shaped everything I am today with my love of music was due to her. And
that's great.
I have let her know that. And I just, I'm thankful for her pretty much every day.
That's wonderful.
And we met in Connecticut when I was living there. She was too. Neither one of us live in Connecticut, nor really have any tie. And our families aren't from there, so don't really have ties to Connecticut. So,
but you got to say, thank goodness for social media. That's one wonderful thing about social media.
Yes, and that's how I sent her a letter. I believe it was through Facebook, just letting her know, how much she meant to me. And we reconnected, and it's been nice.
Those important people in your life that make such an impact. And it's wonderful when you can keep them in your life over your whole life.
Definitely is a great thing to do. And I don't know if you saw my little guy was just here for a second. He was.
I didn't.
Bubba, come here.
Come here, Bubba.
I call him Bubba.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, Bubs.
Gotta have a cameo from the dog.
Hi, Bubba. So he just watches out the window every day.
Oh, what a cutie. He's beautiful.
He is gorgeous. That's another thing too. I just couldn't let him. He was just too cute to let go. We got him when he was
that tall German Shepherd height going.
Yes. He is a big boy. I got him when he was about 11 months old, and he was tall and lanky, and he's filled out a bit now. Yeah. But he's my constant companion. I'm glad I have him. I got him about 4 months after I moved to Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
So it was nice, especially when my roommate was a helicopter pilot. So he was out a lot, so I was home alone. And it was nice just to have someone there. And now he's living with his girlfriend. I bought a house, he bought a house. We all split ways. But, now I have my sister, but I still have my bubbas.
Yes.
So,
good boy.
He's such a good boy.
Believe me, if I could do a podcast where I interview dogs all day, I would do it. It's been so much fun getting to know you, Sarahbeth. Thanks so much for being on. Maybe we will get to meet your twin once she has her own vanity plate.
Yes, definitely when she gets her own plate, when she finally decides what it is, because it's going to be a big decision.
I know.
There's going to be a plate story behind it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarahbeth, so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too, Trista.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Trista's Plate Story Podcast. Please subscribe to Trista's Plate Story Podcast to get the story behind all those vanity plates driving with you on the road. And if you would like to nominate the owner of a license plate, including you, or visit any of our partners and sponsors, come and see us at platestory.com. That's PL8STORY.com, and give us the details. If you enjoyed this episode, please drop a review and give us a share. I'm Trista Polo, wishing you well on the road to your next adventure.